this. You are watching Techopia at AccelerateOTT 2018. I'm here with my co-host, Megan Cornell from Momentum Law, and we are fortunate to sit down with Elizabeth Yin from Hustle Fund. Thank you so much for joining us today. Co-founder, and of course, once again, a lady that is doing so much for entrepreneurship and also engaging and embracing and supporting this whole ecosystem. So I'd love to hear a little bit from you. There is so much happening just within business these days, and especially someone like yourself. I'd like to hear a little bit what you're thinking with regards to Canadian companies and silicone companies and how they stack up against each other, and what is happening, what is people saying out there, and what is your approach to that?
Well, thanks so much for having me. So I think that as a vast generalization, the Canadian startup ecosystem is an overlooked gem.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm here. Actually, I even have my Ottawa
I like that.
button
I like
on.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You can hold on to that.
Well, so I think there are a few things. One is just characteristics. The US and Canada are very similar. Maybe you guys don't want to be similar to us anymore, but very similar culturally. We all speak English. Business is done in a very similar way. So I think those are similar. But I think in terms of some of the details, I mean, certainly you guys have more vibrant support up here. Your shred credits, we don't get any help down there. Cost of living is better. I mean, even in a place like Toronto where people complain about the living expenses, it is not nearly as high as San Francisco. But I think in terms of quality of entrepreneurs, we have great tech talent up here just as well as in the US and Silicon Valley in particular. But I think there are a couple of things that are different, which is that I see a lot more scrappiness up here, and almost out of necessity, because there is less money going around. And so therefore, I think people actually think about things from a business perspective, as a vast generalization, like, how do I make this work as a business, rather than how do I go and raise 50 million bucks? And I really actually like that, because at the end of the day, while raising money can be an important part of the journey, it's not the end all be all.
Wonderful.
So let me ask a question that sort of follows on the heels of that a little bit. In Canada, you mentioned our shred credits, but we've also fairly recently gotten a real focus on funding female companies, female-led companies. And is that a trend that you're seeing in the U.S. and in Silicon Valley? And in particular, how do women founders go about looking for money or asking for money in a different way?
Yeah, I think it is a trend in both the US and Canada, and I think that that's a good thing. I think that previously there were a lot of opportunities that were overlooked, and we're starting to also see some real unicorns proving that women can build big companies, like Stitch Fix in the US just IPO'd, which is amazing this year, and the founder's in her 30s. And so I think that that's a great trend, but I would say that it is still very challenging for women. I mean, actually, as a weird generalization, I've seen that if you have two female co-founders of the same company, it is actually really hard for them to raise money. It doesn't really matter what they're working on. I think investors make an opinion about you when they meet you in the first 5 seconds, and for whatever reason, people still feel like, as an unconscious bias, that women cannot build big companies, when that's just not true. It's very personality driven and individual driven. So I hope that as we start to see more data points, we will change those numbers in a bigger way, but I think it is still very challenging.
Now, just to kind of once again add to the investing in the industries and the sectors that is of note these days and people are paying attention to, maybe you can share with us, we just had Code step in here and share with us a little bit some of the sectors that he feels is taking a lot of the attention. But hearing from your side, where do you feel some of the key sectors are where investors are looking to kind of get their hands into?
Well, certainly blockchain is one of them. I'm sure plenty of people have mentioned that today. So I'll mention 3 that I'm really excited about. I'm excited about blockchain. I'm excited about, I guess you could call it the future of work, entrepreneurism, etc. And then the third is around health.
Okay.
So those are the 3 that I'm looking at the most, but definitely I'm looking at all software verticals. But I think within those 3, I mean, just at a high level, I think with blockchain, there are so many applications in financial or marketplaces. I have this thesis around, there are a lot of businesses where there's a marketplace and basically a dumb middleman in between just taking a big cut. There's no reason for that. And that's actually a little bit less about blockchain and more about cryptocurrency just in general. for blockchain, there are a number of decentralized applications that frankly I think nobody has really figured out yet, but there may be something there. So that's one category. Health, definitely seeing a lot of new health ideas, and I think that that's a great thing for society overall. Certainly on the consumer side, you're seeing a lot more mental health types of applications and wellness types of applications. But on the enterprise side, one of our companies, for example, they have it's a VR application to help you with your chronic back pain called Karuna. And essentially taking what you used to do in the physical world at a chiropractor's office and doing it in the virtual world, doing the same exercises. And so I think you'll see some interesting applications in health and trying to improve health. And then the last category around the future of work, I mean, I think just the reality is big corporations are no longer stable. Like gone are the IBM days where they would take care of you for life. So people have been forced to essentially become their own entrepreneur. In many cases, you see the rise of freelancers, but also just in general, like even if you are not in software, you have to sell yourself. And you see influencers who do that and basically create a business for themselves. So what tools can help the freelancer or the micro entrepreneur? So those are the three areas that I'm most interested in.
Wonderful. Well, that's so exciting to hear how you're approaching that and what you're focusing on. For those of you that's watching this, thank you very much for joining us. We are here today at AccelerateOTT. We just sat down with Elizabeth Yin, co-founder of Hustle Fund. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your insight, and we look forward to you coming back over here and visiting us on a frequent basis.
Me too. Thanks for having me.